Hello, everyone. This is Scott Rose. I'm a realtor with Baird & Warner.
And I'm Dave Dyer, a loan officer with Key Mortgage Services.
And we wanted to come to you today and share some ideas on how to finance your next home. We know that tomorrow is Friday the 13th. Right around the corner is Halloween. Those are certainly times to be scared. But financing your next home should not be scary at all. And we'd like to share some ideas to help make it just a little bit less scary. So, Dave, the first question I have for you is people think, well, I need 20% down to be able to even think about buying a home. And I know there are other options available. Can you tell us some of those other options?
Sure, Scott. Yeah, that's been a common misunderstanding for years, is that you do need 20% down to buy a home. That's only to avoid private mortgage insurance. You can actually get into a home with as little as 3% down with conventional mortgage, or 3.5% down with an FHA loan, or 0% down with VA financing for veterans.
And why would somebody pick a conventional loan or an FHA loan?
Well, FHA generally is more forgivable on the underwriting guidelines and credit scores. So when we talk to our clients, we see which is the best fit for them and the needs they may have.
Okay. And then you mentioned the VA loan for veterans, and we have our military and the MOVE program and our first responder program, where they're eligible for certain rebates and closing cost credits. So there's additional advantages to that. And then there's seller credits, which can be negotiated with the contract. So on a $500,000 home, you could negotiate a 1, 2, or 3% seller credit, which you could then use toward a down payment. Is that correct?
That's correct. And that's a great option, especially when you have limited funds for down payment and closing costs. So your example of a $500,000 purchase price, 3% down would be $15,000, and then you might have about $7,000 in closing costs. You can actually go to the seller and ask the seller to give you a credit towards those closing costs at closing to lower the amount of cash to close required.
What if somebody doesn't have the money for down payment? What about these down payment assistance programs that are available?
Yeah, Scott. So we have some excellent down payment assistance programs, mainly through IDA, Illinois Housing Development Authority, and they range from $6,000 up to $10,000 in down payment assistance that can be also used for closing costs. So it can be used for down payment assistance and or closing costs, depending on the amount of cash the borrower has.
Okay. And the other question I have, some people say, well, I want to wait until the rates come down or the price of housing comes down. Is now a good time to buy?
I think it's always a great time to buy, Scott, to become a homeowner and get your investment started. The statistics I've seen lately, year over year, September of 2022 to September 2023 in Lake County and really the whole 5-county area around Chicagoland, is that prices have increased from 5 to 7%, depending on the exact area. So if you sit around and wait for rates to come down, a couple things could happen. They could actually even go higher, which nobody wants. And also home prices could keep going higher too. So I always recommend, if you're ready to buy, move forward, lock in that lower sales price. And then if rates do come down, you can always refinance down the road.
So it's our opinion that prices will continue to go up in the next 12 months, and also the rates probably will climb. And what is the difference? Let's take a $500,000 home, and let's say that the rates go up 1%. How does that affect your purchasing ability?
Great question, Scott. So your example, $500,000 purchase price, if rates went up from, let's say 7.5% to 8.5%, then you'd lose 10% in buying power. So that $500,000 pre-approval for a purchase price would be lowered to approximately $450,000.
Okay. So now would be a good way to go. If you're renting, obviously you're paying somebody else's mortgage, whereas if you bought now, you'd be paying your own mortgage and building up equity. And they say real estate is the best long-term investment that you can make.
Exactly.
So what would be the process? Let's say that with some of these options, someone says, I do want to go ahead and explore purchasing a home. What would be the first step that they'd go through with you?
Well, we do an interview process, and that would start with a pre-approval, find out exactly what the borrowers can qualify for. and not just what they can qualify for, but to get them budgeted so they're comfortable with their total monthly housing payment.
Okay, so you said the down payment assistance is good to up about $550,000 or so, and you can buy a pretty nice home for that amount, but you'd want to be pre-approved first, so that the seller knows that you're a qualified buyer. And Key Mortgage has a special program for pre-approval. Tell us about that, Dave.
Yeah, it's called Secure Shop, which is a pre-approval, but it's actually fully underwritten by a Key Mortgage underwriter. So your approval is basically subject to just property and title, so finding a house. So this makes your offer super strong in presenting it to the listing agent and the seller, and especially if you get in a multiple offer situation, you've got a much stronger offer than just a general pre-qualification or a standard pre-approval.
Right. So no last minute, the deal coming apart and falling apart. You're pretty much approved to move forward.
Exactly. The borrower has peace of mind. The agents have peace of mind. Everyone's happy having a nice firm approval going into the home buying process.
Okay. So what we've gone over today is some ideas, some options on how to get ready to buy your first home or your next home. And once again, it shouldn't be scary. We'd like to help answer any questions that you might have on what we've covered today, or any other questions that you might have. So I can be reached at 847-921-4082.
And I can be reached anytime at 847-962-6295.
And we're also available on social media platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So please reach out to us. We'd love to help you buy your next home, and we're sure that we'll make it a smooth transaction. Thanks for your time, and have a great day.
Thank you, and happy Halloween.